St. Andrew's College is an affirming ministry of the United Church of Canada. We acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. This verbal acknowledgement is one concrete action that symbolizes our commitment to the work of reconciliation.
So Byrne, we've been hearing for a while now about St. Andrew's new lifelong learning program, its pathway, so to speak. What can you tell us about that?
The Lifelong Learning Pathways is a competency-based, learner-driven series of certificates. At the heart of the experience is a conversation between a learner and what we're calling an educational guide. In this conversation that occurs, the learner develops a focus in learning that is very much contextualized, addressing the very specific needs and wants of a learner. In this conversation of the guide begins to point the learner to various learning possibilities, learning resources, if you will. This could be anything in the way of a chapter out of a book. It could be an article in a journal. It could be a conversation with someone who has expertise in an area of interest. And out of these engagements, the learner begins to offer reflections. This could be something in the way of an entry in a journal. It could be a short essay of 2 to 3 pages. It could be a video log. In engaging these learning resources, Sean, the learner begins to chart a path of advance through 7 areas of competency. And as a learner begins to make progress towards competency in these 7 areas, there will also be monthly events where learners can get together with peers in what we're calling cafes, where they share their learning goals, where they share what it is that they're focused upon, and how they're engaging these learning events. The culmination of the program is what we're calling the celebration. This is an opportunity for the learner to engage the broader community, to offer something in the way of a presentation, a sharing of the wisdom gathered in the process, if you will.
That sounds like a really interesting overview of the pathway. You mentioned that there were certificates, and I'm assuming there's different certificates. I'm also wondering if a person can go into the program without choosing a certificate and what that might look like. And that also makes me think, what type of admission requirements are there for a person to go into the pathway to begin with?
In its current configuration, we're offering 3 certificate programs. First is designed for those interested in leadership in a community of faith. This might be someone who's interested in leading a small group or wanting to learn more about a prayer ministry. The second is designed for those who have a vital experience of faith, but are also wondering about how that experience might connect with their professional aspirations. And the third is what we're calling broadly spiritual exploration. And it's for those who are interested in anything that falls under the umbrella of theology, faith, spirituality, whatever term it is that we wish to apply. And here, it could be someone who's not committed to any of the established religious traditions, but really just has a curious mind and wants to learn and to grow. And where admissions requirements are concerned, Sean, there aren't any. All that is required is an earnest intellectual curiosity, a desire to learn. If it be the case that a learner comes to us and they can't quite decide yet which certificate program is appropriate for them, we have something of a waiting room. And in this room, one has access to the peer meetings, one has access to the various learning events. And so it's possible to sit in this place until such time when one feels ready, if such, to elect to join one of the programs of learning.
So Byrne, thank you for answering those initial questions. Mm-hmm. Some of the questions that we've been discussing outside of this space and preparing for this time with you is, why has St. Andrews created the lifelong learning pathway? And as a result of that question, how is it different than the academic pathway?
The lifelong learning pathway is really a response to changes in our culture in the North American context primarily. In this changing economic landscape, increasingly families are finding it difficult to move, to go into a residential program, to uproot the family, to disrupt employment.
The lifelong learning pathway is designed with accessibility in mind. There are no required classes at specified times and specified places that one must attend. The primary locus of learning is the conversation with one's guide, and one engages the guide from a remote location at a time that is agreeable to both parties. And beyond this, one chooses from a roster of learning resources that might suit one's own timetable. The lifelong learning pathway, therefore, is designed to minimize disruption. In this way, the lifelong learning pathway deploys a unique brand of contextualization. Your life, your interests, your passions form the context for your learning.
So Vernon, you mentioned earlier on that this is a competency-based program, and a lot of people might not know what exactly that means. What is competency-based?
Well, for every one of these programs, there are 7 competencies that have been defined.
There's a competency that deals with theological content. There's a competency that deals with social justice. And there's one that deals with communication. Think of the competencies as a way by which a learner is able to benchmark their achievement in a given area. But these shouldn't be understood rigidly. After all, the lifelong learning pathway is dedicated to contextualization, and it is learner-driven. A learner, therefore, will take a competency and offer an interpretation of that competency, a way of making that relevant to the given context of that learner. And so one learner might define competency in theology as achievement in understanding feminist hermeneutics and biblical interpretation. Another might want to take social justice into understanding Indigenous issues in Western Canada. A third might want to understand communication as a competency in cross-cultural contexts, understanding how to speak between cultures, between peoples. The competencies are flexible. It's one more way by which we invite people to bring themselves into lifelong learning.
The certificates of the lifelong learning pathways are designed to meet learners where they are. What do you want to learn today?
If you'd like to learn more about any of our programs, please reach out to the College Recruitment Officer. The link is in the video notes below. And do feel free to like and share this video to spread the word. Peace and blessings be with you.